inspire, empower. Grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch. No, real women don't. 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 Real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. What's up, ladies? So I'm just in this mood, right? I'm in this mood where it's like, man, gotta get our muscle up, get our hustle up, get our commitment to our dream up. And if you paid attention to the title and was like, dang, what is August going to be talking about this time? As you can see, it's, have you tried one last thing? Have you tried one last thing? What's that one last thing that you can try before you give up, before you say something won't work, before you go back to that corporate job, shut down your dream, before you just don't do the next thing? What is that one last thing that everyone can try before you decide to turn it in and say it's a wrap? Well, it's introspection. And the point of introspection, you have one responsibility, and that is this. And that's to say, what have I done wrong? What can I do better? However you want to position a question. The point is, no matter what in the world is going on in your life, no matter how much you may feel it's somebody or something else's fault, what can you do? What did you have control over? And how do you grow out of this situation? Now, for me, I looked at, for instance, so this is a truly humbling moment. I remember I started my first Facebook group. I had no idea what I was doing. And I just went in there and I went ham. And I showed up a lot in that group because I was desperate. Now, I enjoyed it. Don't get it twisted. I really, really enjoyed it. And so it was fun for me and it was exciting. And the group grew really fast. And it definitely gave me a very loyal audience. But I found myself getting frustrated because people were in that group and a lot of them weren't taking action. And I changed the free group to a paid group. And that spinoff group actually was really good for me. It was good for me and it was good for the clients. But I still was in there feeling like people could do more. And I was overworking myself, in comparison to what I was charging for the ladies to be in the group. But I did find myself towards the end feeling resentful about some of their lack of response to doing the work that they needed to do. And that's just being real. And I remember at one season, I still had, even though I changed that one into a paid group, I had started another group and I would just look at these people and I would be like, oh my God, I'm giving all this information away still. Now I'm not showing up in the group the same way anymore. I've learned that balance of, showing up in a paid group and less in a free group, but still showing up enough in a free group to offer a change. But it wouldn't last long before I would shut that group down too. And I'd be like, man, fuck this shit. I'm not finna be in this group serving like this. And even if people didn't work with me, I'm like, but you're not utilizing what I'm giving. Now, mind you, I would have people that would come into the group and be like, I just been doing a few things that August said in the group, and my business has changed tremendously. That's how I got clients from that free group to come into the paid group, because they're like, if this is what it's like, just to get the advice from her in a free group, what is it going to be like when it's more in-depth advice and it's laser focused and it's for my business? But it wouldn't be long before I shut that group down too. And what I did is I put a piece of stagnation in my business. Now, the reason why this is stagnation for me is because groups, that is my zone of genius. That's my powerhouse. Everybody can't do that. And so, like I said, you got to be really careful. And for those of you that tuned in to the episode, Facebook groups, yes or no, you've got to move and do things where it really lights you up and it turns you on. But before I could open up a group, some of y'all might be like, damn, and she been telling us to come to the group and she admitting all this stuff. Yeah. So just, fall back and listen, because vulnerability, honesty, and humility is what helps us grow. So when I ended up coming back to the surface and starting another group, I could feel it, right? I would feel convicted, like, a person going down to pray and Jesus then said, you open up a group. And I'm like, what, the blood clot? And I'm like, but this is part of what you need. It's part of your funneling process. It's not just about the funnel. This is a part of your passion, your drive, your mission for your business. And I had to have a conversation with myself and look at what happened with the previous groups. And it was not based on what other people did or didn't do. It was based on whether or not I had made mistakes. So guess what? I realized I took shit too personally. All I'm supposed to do is show up. Some people are going to troll. Some people are going to be active. As long as no one is spamming and there is no disrespect, regardless of what they say, my numbers deviated the odds. If they said that there's going to be about 10% engagement in a group, I had about 25 or 30% engagement in a group. And that's what I needed to rest with. When I looked at the state of my business, knowing how profitable a Facebook group could be for me, I had to say, wow, you took some things too personal, your first year in business. And it crippled you to the point that you didn't even recognize that it's just the cost of doing business. And a lot of that came from things that I experienced in my childhood. It came from me feeling like crap from things that I experienced being in different ministries and churches, feeling like I was taken for granted, things being taken away from me. And so I was bringing personal stuff into my business space. And a lot of times we don't even realize that that's what we're doing. We think that, we're being a boss and we're holding people to a standard. And it literally just wasn't the same thing. And you have to ask yourself these kind of questions. If I put all of the weight on me, if I have CEO mentality, like lawsuit level mentality, because in a court of law, let me put it to you like this. Remember when the chief financial officers did all the stuff that they did, and that was the CEO's way of saying, I didn't know, when they did the bailouts? And they changed some laws saying, no, you the CEO. That means you responsible for knowing what the CFO and the COO, all of them, you need to know what everybody's doing, because at the end of the day, it falls on you. That's the kind of mindset that you have to have. As a CEO, when I look at the state of my business, where am I dropping the ball with the organization or with leadership and structural processes and systems and management and whatever it is in my business that is not allowing it to flourish the way that it's supposed to? And sometimes as entrepreneurs, as solopreneurs, where the only thing we're working on doing is getting our products out there and selling them and getting clients and, upselling or cross-selling and downselling or whatever selling, we sometimes forget to think about the fact that we don't have those meetings like we may have had at some of the jobs we work, where you met once a month or once a week prior to the store opening, where you had conference calls, where you discuss things. And I like the fact that even though I started my own business doing hair for a long time, I did it for over 20 years, I still have spurts of having jobs throughout my life history because nobody groomed me to be an entrepreneur. And even though that business was thriving, I was still wrestling with the pull of my upbringing to work a traditional job. And so, for instance, I remember I worked at a medical facility as a medical assistant. And I remember we would have to attend workshops. And, we would learn about, interpersonal skills. I remember one workshop, we were talking about how, when you come in from work, leave the baggage at the door for what happened at home. And, when you go back home, leave the baggage from work there. And, we would have these types of meetings and conferences. And so when you're running your own business, you may be the only person that's doing it. Maybe your spouse works with you. Maybe you do have an assistant. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have a small team. Please understand that you need to approach all of the conversations and everything that's going on from the perspective of, how do I hold myself accountable for what's going on in my business? And how can I, as a leader, influence the situation and the circumstances to change? So, for me, whenever something's not working right, the first thing I say is, August, what haven't you tried? I look at myself and I say, okay, what's going on with you? What did you do well? What could you have done better? It's not about putting yourself down. It's about growing. It's about growing. If you are willing to look at a situation and say, okay, what's going on with me? Then you open up yourself for the opportunity to be able to say, oh, okay, that's a really great idea. I can and I should roll with that. Yeah, I got this. So I love you guys. Don't give up. Don't quit. Look inside of yourself. And sometimes what's keeping your business from going and growing is just a few little things that you need to tweak within. And once you do that, you will have your energy will be greater. Your enthusiasm will be greater. The way you show up will be totally freaking magnificent. So I love you guys. Until the next podcast episode, remember, real women don't bitch. We get shit done. I love you all. See you at the summit. If you haven't registered, don't forget to click the link. I love you. Deuces.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch. We get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in